Okay, so let's say this. You wake up one morning and you decide, hey, starting now, I want to either start building and maintaining a deeper network of people, or I want to invest further in maintaining my set of relationships, or maybe you've been doing it for a while and you just are reconfirming your commitment. There's one big question that I find it's really important to always start off with. And frankly, if you don't ask this question of yourself, not only in the beginning, but repeatedly, you're going to find yourself derailed. And I've seen this many, many times. And it's really simple. It's just, what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve out of all the effort and the investments that you're making in maintaining your set of relationships? We may have many different needs and goals can be fulfilled by maintaining our network. We might be looking for a job, either now or in the future. We might be trying to raise capital for a business. We might be trying to hire people. There are many different outcomes that we could be thinking of. But the important thing is to make sure that we do establish that early on. Not having clear goals in mind will derail us in one of two ways, which I found. Number one is our time. Now, there's an opportunity cost behind everything that we're doing. For everything that we do, there's something that we are, by definition, not doing with that time. So if you are choosing, for example, to say, hey, I want to go and host a dinner, well, clearly that's a lot of time and resources that go into planning and executing that dinner. And that might be less time to go to the gym. Or you say, hey, I want to make sure I have a few coffee meetings a week. Well, that's time out of your workday. That's going to be spent meeting with people. Now, I'm sure that you can identify that spending time in coffee meetings or hosting dinners or attending networking events, yes, those will pay off in the future, but you have to have the idea of like, well, how will this help me? How will this help me and my family or my community? So starting off and making sure that there is some clear target in mind will help make sure that you can justify that time versus all the other ways that you could spend your time. The other, and this is the big one, is who is in your network. Now, we are meeting thousands of people over the course of the year, whether it's just seeing them on social media, meeting them for coffee, meeting them at an event, maybe we met them in the past. There are so many different ways that we're interacting with people. And one of the core concepts of networking and relationship building is to be very targeted and saying, okay, I have this set of relationships, but given finite time and resources, who am I choosing to spend my time with? Before you know it, we are just overwhelmed because we have a database of thousands of people and we don't necessarily know who we should be engaging with right now, and we're randomly spearfishing and reaching out to people randomly, and we're not getting the results that we're looking for over a long period of time, and we're like, all right, I'm just going to leave it alone. And that was one of the big challenges that I've seen before. People would come to us and saying, yeah, I just want to maintain a network. And we'd look at their database and sure, they had a network, they had lots of people, but it wasn't clear who they should be engaging with. So that's why it's important to set a goal. Because then you can identify, okay, is this going to be worth my time? And then who are the people that I should be prioritizing to fit those goals? Now, I've seen that the goals usually fit in a few different buckets. You might be looking for a job. You might be trying to generate more repeat and referral business. You might be trying to hire people for your company. You might be trying to get partners and investors and supporters for whatever project that you're working on. You might also say, hey, I just love to build and maintain relationships with people because I find I just love hearing people's stories and getting to know interesting people. There's no right or wrong answer. It's important to say, hey, what is important for me over the long term, over the next few years, or maybe even over the next year? and then be able to say, okay, because I have this goal in mind, it is worth my time to set aside part of my week, part of my calendar, part of my resources to say, okay, I'm going to invest in maintaining this network of people. Then we're able to say, okay, that person's interesting, but again, these are my goals. Does this person fit my goals? And you may say, hey, I want to make sure I still maintain a network of interesting people. That's great. But again, when it comes to prioritizing our time, we have to be as ruthless as possible, because otherwise we will just burn out and spread ourselves way too thin. The other point, though, is that our goals may change. There is a period of time where I was very focused on maintaining relationships with prospects at an enterprise level, so CEOs of big companies and influencers who knew them. I was trying to hire executives, so I had a network of really great prospects, and I was trying to raise money, so on an ongoing basis. So I had built up a really great network of investors. At this stage in my life, those aren't priorities for me. So I still have those groups of people and I still maintain loose connection, but I'm not prioritizing my time as much for that because I don't see a specific need for me to really engage deeply with them over the next few years. So I host dinners, for example, and I just love bringing interesting people together. Why? Because as a solopreneur, I'm spending most of my time in a little bubble focusing on what I'm focusing on, and I'm not getting as much diversity of thought. So I build relationships with authors, with founders, with investors, with all the different kinds of cool people who just have some interesting view of the world. And I make sure I maintain relationships with those. So again, whether you are just starting out in your journey to build and maintain a deeper network, or you've been doing it for years, it's important to take a step back from time to time and saying, hey, what are my goals? And then, is it worth the time? And do I know the people that I should be prioritizing in that?